It's October 4th, 2021. Here's some more of the watercolors of Barat and Maggio. What I don't understand is how did the conversation of house skeleton, that's a house skeleton, it's in the house, and now it's used as a decoration. But there's a cité, and there is a house skeleton, and there was a respectable man that lived in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361, within my life frame reach that I actually got to meet in New York. So my question is, on this October 4th, 2021, I made mention of holographic and halographic universe. My question is, there was talk of, for environmental purpose, if one had a house skeleton, usually if you had a skeleton in your compound or in your house, your housing unit of residence, it meant that the adults around you were some form of doctor, whether it be doctorship of repairing, of the physique or the physic, whether it was documenting, but there was always a hand sketch artist with pen and, special pen, special ink, and special paper. And then you'd have a house skeleton at times. And then sometimes you'd have the artist there, and the artist would document where on the person or the body machina the physique was afflicting. So if you had a sore out of nowhere, they would document it, and then it would be sent in to somewhere. They would analyze it, and then they would send a recommendation, or they would send whatever it is that was needed in order to fix it. But a sign of class was whether you had access to teachings of a house skeleton, is what they called it, for lack of a better term. But there was supposed to be some business that, here in New York, they turned that simple concept and the actual environmental concern and climate change, they made that into $1 a day, like a piss and moan business that is so dangerous to have to live and be trapped amongst, because you either have to go with you're already broken, and now it's just a matter of how much more we can break you by chemical structure and whatever, and how much we can get away with elsewhere. I don't understand how the structure of humanity and society changed so drastically in the worse. This is not for the betterment of humanity. Betterment of humanity was to have a house skeleton, one, that if somebody needed to document and didn't want to disrobe, they could point to the part of the respectfully obtained house skeleton, and they could say what was ailing them as a prop for themselves in having some way of explaining their real physical indenture part on an outside source of visualization to be able to construct a conversation on something that they don't normally, whatever. Why is it in this version of New York, the houses themselves are not in a compound? They're not even set up in village properly. And the police department, NYPD, they don't have a house skeleton. Like if you walk into their police precinct, they do not have a room with a house skeleton for you to point to where to take a report. FDNY, they don't even have in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. They'll answer the side door if you want to bring something to their attention, but they don't have like a welcome area that you're welcomed into the firehouse or station house. You're just not. It's like leave your concerns at the door at the side of the building. So that's what's actually going on in New York in my Bayside station. I just don't understand why the respectable profession of taking environmental concerns, if you were able to obtain a house skeleton, which the lady of the house, Linda, she brought home a house skeleton yesterday. She says it's to decorate for Halloween. But her and I don't live in the same reality anyway. So, oh, and the other thing is that when I was young, living here as well, they were told, Lou and Lynn, to keep the electronics to like none, if possible, like radio waves and transmitters and that kind of thing. But for some reason, I don't know how and I don't know who introduced Lewis into something called a Commodore 64. Now, I heard a lady up just recently on Bell Boulevard and 39th, 40th, 39th, something like that, by the French Workshop, talk about in her day, like the sailors had some kind of meet and greet with the people on like offshore, onshore, I don't know, but they knew to go meet them, and there was something in their group called a Commodore or Commodore. So now I'm wondering, Lou bought me an electronic. It was like Dolphin that would go up and grab a hoop. I mean, they said it was for spelling and for mathematics. I mean, it was kind of dumb. And I really didn't understand it. I mean, I played along because I'm like, okay, now what, Lou? Like, I mean, like it was, what was I, all like 5 or 6? I mean, and so I'm just curious how that word and those electronics in my house, my grandfather was here no less, why is all of this transacting in this way, holographic universe? Is like, I mean, where's the emergency command center in this United States? I'm just curious. Because, like, the streets are up to no good with criminals from everywhere, especially in New York. Now that you've got air travel and you've got waterway congestion, and it seems like everybody else's kids know a whole lot more than I'm even able to get just walking around the streets trying to talk to people. So if that's not an unfair advantage, I don't know what you're looking for. But this is not sustainable whatsoever. And between Hallow and Hollow, I want to go back to a Hollow universe, because this is just, there's no point in having this daily dialogue with myself on some electronic because somebody else wants to fly a weather balloon into space for civilians. Are you all that dumb, fucking, and useless? Because that's what it looks like when you television on TV. Seriously. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.